I am here. I'm going to get TikTok set up. I figured I'd do this one first. So know that I'm here, but it'll be kind of a little silent for a second as I'm trying to get everything set up. And then we'll see what we're going to talk about today. Telling me banana until I come and we want to go home. It's not the song I wanted stuck in my head. Let's go with yesterday. Child went out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside his head. Fearful and gentle sound of thunder, and tearful and I think I missed words in there. And let's go there. Still getting everything set up over on TikTok. Oh, I took it off of there. I didn't want to take it off of there. Let me put that back up. Hello, everybody. I'm just getting everything started up here. I'm making sure that I get everything shared out. Hope everybody's having a grand day. YouTube, as you come up, or as we're coming up, we are over on YouTube as well. So everybody's aware. And I'm trying to see if some of the stuff got fixed, because I was trying to make sure that some of the stuff got fixed. And I also need to try and make sure that I send this in Discord, so it's going to pause the live for a second while I try and send this to the Discord channel that we have. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm sorry, I know it's been a couple of days since I've been here, and I apologize for that. I have somebody staying on my couch after somebody moved in and took my office. And so I was already relegated to my living room for doing lives. And then I have somebody on my couch until the 15th. So it's I don't know where to do lives. And then somebody who's on my couch works the weekends. And then somebody who is in my office goes to school during the week. And they're a little, I can relegate them to their rooms so that I can do stuff, right? But I not make sure that I'm getting everybody, because I'm I think that I'm missing people. Let me try. I'm going to go from you on. And if anybody gets double invites, I apologize. Holy crap, there's 300 people in here. So let me go ahead and start with my opening pitch. And I also need to talk, and I want to make sure that I get to the mods really quick. On, because I have some requests. So let me go ahead and first go over some of the boundaries within this space. This is my space. TikTok gives everybody who has 1,000 followers a space that they can go live. I choose to utilize that space to teach. I am an archaeologist, an anthropologist, a healer, a storyteller, a historian, and I choose to use this space to kind of give information and education, because I don't believe that education should be gatekept behind a $40,000 a year paywall, or behind language that even people with extensive degrees and vocabularies have a hard time understanding. And so I am trying to utilize my space to get out as much information as I possibly can about who we are as a people, as a species, right? Who we are in our history and the things that we've done and the beauty of us, right? Because there is a lot of beauty in us, and today we're not seeing a lot of beauty in us, right? And in utilizing that space, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about are the fact that race has been debunked. Race doesn't exist. Even the idea that your skin really has a lot to do with your genetics has been debunked. And the idea that things like your physical health have to do with your genes instead of the environment that you're being put in has been debunked, right? And so we go over things like that in here. Because of that, I'm not going to deal with your racism in my chat. If you're being racist in my chat, you're done. You're not going to like my response, and you'll be blocked and reported, right? And the other thing is I don't deal with phobias based on gender and desire, right? Biologically, we have 3 sexes, male, female, and intersex. And we've seen intersex throughout the history of our species, okay? We have several finds that are intersex archaeologically, right? And we see within archaeology and within history that your idea that gender is binary and gender is biological instead of the id, the consciousness of self, is rather new. Like it's real new. And it's only really within certain societies, right? And we'll go over that probably along the way, right? So I don't deal with phobias based on gender. I don't deal with phobias based on desire. In here, it's about love and kindness. In here, it's about being ourselves and about being loving. And mechanic, quit lying. Thank you for pulling that out. If you want to tell me that I'm incorrect about something, absolutely, I accept correction. Everybody should. Everybody should be accepting correction and new knowledge, right? That's a fundamental thing about being human, is to do new knowledge, to understand new things, to have a quest for new things, right? To have a quest for new understanding. That is how we get to the point that we're able to do, right? How we get to the point that we are able to do all the things that we have, and how we've gotten all the tools that we have, right? And with that, if you want to tell me that I'm lying, that I'm saying something wrong, please bring me facts. Please bring me correction. Please bring me the ability to go, listen, I've looked at that and that's correct. So I have to change my concept of thought based on that. Or the ability to go, listen, I looked at that and you might be misinterpreting what that states, right? Or this other fact that's newer states differently. Or there's 10 facts that state this and 1 fact that states that, right? And so when we get to that point, we shift our understanding, right? And so I need you to tell me, not that I'm lying, but to tell me what you think I'm incorrect about, to bring something to the table, or I just am not going to do anything having to do with it, okay? I need to also speak to safety in this space. And this is for my mods as well, just to make sure that my mods remember the rules. So if you are over on YouTube, still watching, I got booted off the live for hate speech for setting some boundaries. And so anybody can hear with what has just been said. And unless I missed something desperately in the fact that I was trying to do two things at once for about 5 minutes there, because somebody had reminded me to stop, Brand, to reset my goal. Does it not, you can't hear me at all over here? I was silent for a minute. Can you hear me now? Just to make sure that people can actually hear me. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's going on and make sure that I'm like getting this set somewhat. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I don't even know what to do. I'm waiting to see what it does. I can go live back over on the other account. And work from there. Hey, hi. Appreciate that. It's hard for me if there's no interaction. Like I have to have some interaction for me to like have people to interact to. Otherwise, I'm just talking to a void. And I can't do that. I can't do that any more than I can just sit and fucking like talk to a dead wall. Like it's just not gonna work for me. We're gonna go ahead and go live over here and see if live over here has any effect. And see if we have people over here. So I don't have a whole lot of people to share it out to over on here. So let me go ahead and try to share it to who I got. And who I know is actually there. Okay. Awesome. And I'm over live on TikTok. It's just on the other account. So if you want to watch the live on TikTok itself, I am over live on TikTok. It is just on the other account. And obviously I don't need to go over some of these boundaries and everything else on the other account because there's not 300 friggin' people in the chat on the other account trying to be shitty. Maybe I should start with just having comments off from now on so that I can actually give us to a space where we can actually not have all of that fast coming at me right off the bat. And I wanted to say some things directly to the mods and everything else, which is a totally different scenario over on this other channel. So I don't really have that. So I'm just going to sit here and talk on this other channel. And maybe we'll get to the point that there's actually people to interact with on the other channel. So let's just go ahead and start with some of the things that, happy to be the void. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you have me on TikTok on the other channel? It is, yeah, just like that. It's the English version of what the other channel states. And Widda Ord is a Widda's word or a Widda word. It's been really busy here the last couple of days. I've had somebody sleeping on my couch. I don't have the office space anymore, so I really don't have a whole lot of space. I really don't have a whole lot of functionality to actually be doing stuff. And so I haven't really been able to be live. And I wanted to, and I'm part of a group that's really encouraging about going live, right? But it's like I wasn't able to, and then I realized I was able to go again, and obviously I'm not again now. But I had the desire to, um, just kind of, it's hard for me to do it when I have other people around me. So that is why I haven't been able to go live for the last little bit. I want to make sure that as I'm moving forward, that I'm making sure I'm getting some of the newer information in that we're seeing coming across my desk, and some of the new different articles and stuff are getting put. I did. It's a different channel, so I can make sure that it works when I'm interacting with that. So when we're talking about different articles, some of the stuff is not updated on the website just because of the fact that the website trying to do everything gets a lot for me. Hello. And so trying to do everything gets a lot for me. Make sure you're following this account. It is a different account. So, right, and it really got taken down for hate speech. I'm literally telling you, do not use this in my chat, and it got taken down for utilizing that in my chat. And I'm like, not yet. We'll see if it actually gets to a point that it needs it. And I'm okay if it doesn't. Like when it gets loud like that and long like that, it would, yeah. Well, and I'm thinking that I'm going to start going on. Yeah, hate speech. I think when I start going live from now on, I'm going to go live and turn the comments off just automatically and just leave it off for a little while until we get to a point where I'm opening it up to ask questions and just go over the boundaries and everything else before I open it up, because it's to the point that it's just. Well, and I didn't even, I said that you can't do these specific activities. I said nothing. Well, and this is a typical, this is my space. I set boundaries in my space, and my boundaries state that don't use racism in my chat. I can show you how race has been debunked. I kind of explained it a little bit in that one. And so don't use racism in my chat. We don't deal with that. You won't like what I do. I will block you. I will report you, and you won't like my response. And same thing with phobias based on gender and desire. There are 3 biological sexes. Those 3 biological sexes are male and female and intersex. And gender is a very, very new concept as being a duality. And I'm not going to deal with your phobias based on gender and desire. We might go over how those phobias were created, right? And where we see the start of that in othering and how traumatic that is to us as humans. Yet we're not going to deal with them in our chat. And then I think I was like, I'm getting ready to set rules for the mods and what I expect in my chat, right? From everybody in this space to make sure it's safe for everybody. Like it's important to me that we don't just block people right away, right? Unless somebody is being extremely violent or extremely repetitive, right? And the other thing is like, you shouldn't just take one comment and block somebody. If somebody's repeating that comment over and over and over, then it should be blocked. Absolutely. Or muted for the live, or muted for 5 minutes is my preference, where we mute somebody so that they stop for a minute and listen. If they're actually into listening and actually into staying around, they'll stay around for the 5 minutes until they can ask a question. And the next thing that they ask has much more of a tendency to be a positive, right? Has much more of a tendency to be, a good thing. And that also leaves room for if we've misunderstood something in text, right? If you mute somebody who is trying to be supportive and you mute them for the whole live, there's nothing they can do about it. But if you mute somebody who's trying to be supportive, they'll generally come back when the mute is up and go, I apologize. It wasn't intended like that. Like I was trying to help. Like I was trying to talk to somebody else, right? And so it's very important for me. And I've noticed I don't care, right? The thing is I generally don't care about comments. I have no problem with the fact that they distract me. Other people have problems with the fact that they distract me, but the comments that distract me have a tendency to teach, right? Mainly because of the fact that I'm an interactive human being, right? So I have to have something to feed off of to actually teach, right? And so if somebody makes a comment about like my nose ring, I can go back and go, this is something that looks very traditional from the area that it would have come from, which is completely the entire globe because we've been wearing nose rings since Neanderthals, right? This piercings, these markings of our body have to do with see me who I am, right? We've been doing that since before we were human, right? That is part of what makes us human. It's the id. It's the concept of self that we then mark our body and give out, right? So those comments are catalyst. Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with a lot of other comments. Now, if somebody is like sitting there, like if somebody asks me who I am and they're indigenous and they're asking me as an indigenous person, I'm learning to deal with that better because it's distracting. And as I said, I think in the last live, it's difficult for me to flip my focus to here, right? If I'm focused here, it's difficult for me to go this way and this way when it's something about self, right? If it's something about everything else, then I can flip my focus. But if it's something about self, I have to rethink and stuff like that. Doesn't bother me, right? It might bother other people. And that's where I'm like, if it's repetitive, like if somebody has gone T2024 30 friggin' times in a row, get rid of it. If somebody's like, well, that's MTG, most people are going to be like, haha, well, actually, that's this person. Or I might get distracted and go, actually, that's this person, right? And Denny is an amazing individual, an amazing human being, right? If they're repetitively doing it, it's distracting chat, then we go, yeah. If somebody makes slur comments, now, some slur comments people don't know when they're not aware. Some slur comments, people are obviously aware. Some things are intentionally hateful to people. If somebody is being intentionally hateful, I generally would say mute them for like 5 minutes, right? And I generally don't mute the whole live unless somebody is really, really interactive and like comes back in 5 minutes and comes back in 5 minutes and they're just not giving up, right? Just because there are literally people who, this entire thing is about getting to the other side on a level the other side understands, right? So the entire conversations that we're having, this entire live shit, this entire fucking interaction is about how do I get the this side to understand that even what we think is this, and this one froze. Okay, so let me see. Aha. And this one froze. So this entire concept, like what I'm doing, this entire thing is about, can I get those who are so closed off and narrow-minded that they think that we are all born evil and that we're trying to destroy you and that our only purpose here is to use this up until it's gone. My entire thing is, how do I get white people to white people better? How do I get people to see how truly sweet and kind and wonderful we're supposed to be, and that it is the lack of that that is causing this trauma? Because I can't deal with the trauma. I can't leave my house, right? And the only way I can fix the trauma is to change people's minds. I can't fix the trauma by going to war. I tried it. Can't fix the trauma by standing front lines. I tried it. I've tried it all. The only way I can fix the trauma is by convincing you that you're not shit. If I can convince you that you are more than shit, if I can convince you that you're beautiful, that you're kind, that you're compassionate, that you're caring, and that all the other shit is shit to control you, if I can convince you of that, if I can get you to understand that, then I can be safe. I don't want you to love me. I don't want you to even like me. I want you to hear me, right? I don't want you to follow me, other than that tells me how many messages to people I got on TikTok, right? How many people have heard me? That's all I give a shit. Just how many people have heard. Don't fucking come and sit on my front lawn. Certainly, I don't fucking need your money. I need money. We all need money because it's a capitalist society, but I do everything I can to live outside that capitalist society. So unless I'm desperate, I don't fucking care. Right? I mean, yeah, we all want to be able to spend money on the things we want, but I'm not going to ask you for it. That's the whole concept of the free thought process, right? Because I hate this, what we're living in. And I've known my whole life this is wrong. My whole life. It is what has depressed me. It's what's given me problems. It's what's caused me issues. I've known this is wrong my whole life, that this is not who we are, right? Because I wasn't raised in the religious concept that this is who we are, right? So to get the other side to see, I have to get the other side to hear. And I have to do that in the most loving kindness that I can for them to hear, because people don't hear things that are aggressive. But if I can come at them in the most loving kindness way that I can, and anybody who's been with me from the beginning has seen me go from cussing somebody out and realizing that gets me blocked and banned, right, to, doing this in this kind and as soft as manner as I can, right? If I can give that loving kindness in that soft and kindness manner, I can get you to see that you are not the problem. That this thought process is the problem. And if I can reach you to the point that you actually stop the self-hatred, because so many of us deal with self-hatred, which leads to anxiety, which leads to social anxiety, right? And it also is we see other people as being hateful for their loving behavior sometimes because of this twist of concept, right? I lived with somebody for 10 years who would literally take loving behavior and tell everybody it was hate behavior, right? So if I can get people to see that, anybody who truly has compassion or empathy for anybody else is going to want to change it. And even those who are only thinking of themselves will see the benefit of a society that has compassion and care. If I can reach your concept, if I can change your mind, right? So if I block somebody, they never hear me. And it doesn't matter who they are. I know people who are in a couple of different communities that I belong to who I would not leave alone with people, right? I protect people when they're around them, but I'm not going to block them from hearing me. I know the boundaries I need to set with them, but I'm not going to block them from hearing me because maybe I can reach them, right? I know people that have been totally on the opposite side who now are going, oh, wow, well, that's a concept I can think of, right? If I mute you for the whole live, then you can't come back. If you come in and you're like, yeah, all the blah, blah, blah over here, all the problem, maybe you come in and you're really Islamophobic, right? We have a lot of that right now. Then I start talking about why that's a problem and what the issue is. If I've muted you for 5 minutes, you see that you're muted for 5 minutes and you want to hang around to try and get in, right? To try and say your thing. But you have to hang around and hear me for 5 minutes unless you just mute the fucking chat, right? Or mute the whole thing, right? So you have to hang around and hear me for 5 minutes. Maybe by the end of that 5 minutes, you've heard something that sparks something in your mind and you go, okay, right? And maybe the next question is still kind of shitty, but maybe the third question isn't, right? Maybe the first comment is ass out, right? I have friends that get blocked in here. I've had friends that get blocked that I had to go back and go, fuck, I have to unblock you. I'm so sorry. My mod did that. I apologize, right? And that's a huge thing. I don't want anybody blocked unless they are, if it's serious, and like I was saying with slurs, if it's like somebody says the E word that we use for the Inuit people, right? I can then educate you on why that's wrong. Somebody in the chat can then educate you on why that's wrong. If somebody says Aboriginal, but with the INES, then somebody in chat can educate you or I can educate you, right? If somebody says the N-word, which we all know for without a fact and a doubt is wrong, right? First, you kind of got to look at who they are, right? They're people who are allowed more than whatever to say that word, right? You know, that's your word. You can say it like you took it back, say it all you fucking want, right? Like that's power, right? And I'm not going to take somebody's power when somebody is taking power back. That's not acceptable. So you have to look at that. But if it's like all these blah, 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 block the motherfucker, right? Get rid of them, right? And if it's somebody who's at me and at me and at me, yeah. And if they're repeating the shit at me and at me and at me, yeah, absolutely get rid of them, right? 100%. Because at that point, they're not there for the lesson. They're not there for the hearing. They're not there for anything. They're talking too loud to be able to hear anything. And I've been a no ears myself, right? We've all been no ears where we haven't heard jack shit, right? So, you know, if that's the way they're at, they're not at a point of learning. They're not in a point of growth. They're not personally growing, right? So there's nothing I can do for them, right? But for me, it becomes a problem if somebody is utilizing the block or the mute too much, because, or to hammer down with it, because then I have no ability to reach, right? And in the last live, one of my best friends in TikTok, one of my siblings, the person who got my first account started, like she heard what I had to say and she was like, we need to get you up there, right? And she heard what I was here and she was like, we need to get you up there. She was muted for an entire life and she rarely comes in anymore because she has been attacked, and she said something and she was muted, and I was like, oh. And I didn't notice the first mute, I think, or I didn't notice she got muted on the first account, and I'd seen the first account come in because it was her original account, and I went, oh, yay, you know. And she said something supportive, but it wasn't taken as supportive. And because it wasn't taken as supportive, she got muted for the live and had to come in on another account, right? And told me afterwards, like, and so I had to go, well, shit, fuck, yeah, I've got to deal with this in my next live. This is something that's imperative. So it's imperative to me that anybody who has a moderator status, and I'll say this again when we get on the other account, that anybody that has a moderator status is utilizing it with judicious, right? Like is making sure that they are doing it with as light of hand as possible, right? Just because when we're blocking learning, right? And it's a learning space. It's about asking questions. Sometimes the questions are stupid, right? There are such things as stupid questions. Yes, I did. I haven't been able to look at it too deeply yet, but I did get it. It's just been a lot here, like having somebody in the house and having my dog is the only animal left in the house. I took in the two dogs that were traumatized with the family trauma thing that happened a couple months ago and had to find new homes for them. And then I had to find new homes for all three of my cats. And then I ended up having to find a new home for the Great Dane puppy that was going to be so big and was too much for anybody to handle. And the other cat that was here was just not doing well and not happy here. So we sent them to their mother because the boy's stepmom was their mom, right? So I gave her to him, or him to her. And he left yesterday. So we are down to just the dog. And I'm like, it's just been a lot. And then my brother got rid of his dog, and I do not respect the way he did it. And that's been hard. And so it's been a lot. And I'm like, oh, and I can't figure out I'm like, oh, and my partner's like, Sarah, you have so much compassion, and you had like 9 animals go through this house, and you got rid of 3 that you loved. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. That's why I'm like, oh. So, and it will, I mean, honestly, I needed to find new homes for my cats. I did. They were 3 long hairs in a small apartment. It was unfair to everybody involved, right? And the puppy was too much for my for my son. She was too much. She was huge. And my son isn't really a dog person. He's a cat person. And he got the dog because he didn't have an option, right? And like he needed something, and that was the option that was there that his father finally agreed to. So, it was just, and he didn't have guidance and boundaries as a 16-year-old in finding the animal, right? And so getting a Great Dane puppy who was literally throwing herself around my house at 80 fucking pounds is like, and I can't walk her because I'm disabled. I've gotten to the point where I'm using a walker or a cane most of the time, and she jerks me, and my disability is all my lower back and pelvis. And so like there's just no core anymore. And so it's like, there's just no way. So, you know, it was all necessary and it was all positive. The cat going to Nolly, to the mom, is amazing, right? It really does so much for the whole family. So it, you know, it's all good. It's just a lot. And it's just a lot for me to just go through it, right? So, and so it just keeps me like I'm just depressed. And then like having no space, like having lost my office and then having somebody in my living room, right? Like, it's like, how the fuck do I go live? Because I can't go live with somebody sitting there. That's not going to work for me unless it's like an entire conversation. And then I don't have a whole lot of control over that conversation. So it can go sideways in ways that I can't have on TikTok because of the way TikTok behaves, right? So I am going to end the live here for a couple of minutes and go and check, because I'm supposed to be keeping watch and see if they gave me back the appeal. So I'll probably be live again. Hopefully, cross our fingers or hold on our thumbs. Hold our thumbers. God, I can't remember. Oh, I know it in Svenska, but I can't think of it in Svenska. In Sweden, they hold their thumbs. They don't cross their fingers. They hold their thumbs. So it's hold your thumbs. It's a something thumber. So I'm going to go and check on there. And if it's not, I'll come back here. And if it is, then we'll move on to there. And you guys will all be over there. Much love. And I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Did you know that if you're gaining weight, is still here, YouTube, but it doesn't look like there's anybody there.